Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the IndieCommerce webinar on custom products. And before we start today's presentation, as usual, let's make sure there are no technical issues joining the webinar. If you can see my screen and hear me, please click on the little hand icon on your GoToWebinar panel. Thank you. So let's begin. And this webinar is being recorded. The recording will be available on the webinar section of the BookWeb IndieCommerce Help Center. Welcome to the IndieCommerce webinar on custom products. Those of you who have attended previous webinars, welcome back. This is Geeta Nathan. Joining me here today are Scott Nabbs and Ryan Gwynn. In today's webinar, Scott and Ryan will be covering topics related to custom products. So they will talk about how to create custom product classes, how to create custom products with attributes and options, and advantages of using custom products, configuring tax rules, payment methods, etc. for custom products, and two features that work very well with custom products, the variable price and stock. And if time permits, we will also have a simple view to display the custom products on a page or on a block. Let me hand it over to Scott, who will start the presentation with creating custom product classes. And please, it may take a couple of minutes while we go silent. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today, as Geeta mentioned, we're going to go over custom products. Now, before we get started, I wanted to talk a little bit. Actually, before we get started, I want to show you something that is available. If you go to bookweb.org, which is ABA's official site, in the green menu bar across the top under e-commerce and ebooks, IndieCommerce. First of all, we do have a lot of written documentation under the IC Help Center, but we also have in the Video Training Center, we have a number of videos that cover custom content types, creating content types and the differences between them, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of this information is available in with a little more detail if you want to take a look at those. So today we're going to be talking about custom products. Now, stores are generally familiar with creating content on their site. If you go to content, add content, stores generally work with pages or events, but as you can see, we've added a few things in here. Now, your average piece of content is referred to as a static node, a page that you put some information on and put a book list on, but that's all it does. It's a place where people can go, they can land there, they can see that information, but it doesn't do anything, it doesn't interact in any way. What we're going to be talking about today are content types that can actually be sold through the website. These are items that have to interact with the shopping cart. They need to have a price on them. They need to be taxed in some cases. So these are different than your average static node. On this list here, there are a few. If you go to content, add content, you'll see a few of these. For instance, gift card or gift certificate, you may have already activated online-only gift code. Again, these are items that can be sold. A lot of stores have added things such as signed editions, T-shirts, and things like that. So we're going to look at creating basically a content type that can be sold through the website, and we refer to that as a product class. Now, in order to create your average piece of content, if you wanted to create a new content type, you would go to Structure, Content Types, and you could add a new type right there. But that's not what we're going to be doing. Again, these are handled a little bit differently. So we're going to go, in this case, to Store, Products, and Manage Classes. again, we're creating a content type that is also a product class. Now here you can see some of those items that were listed in the drop-down menu under Content, Add Content. These are the ones that can actually be sold. So we're looking at ABA product, which is all books that exist in the database. We have gift cards, gift certificates, and a few other things that we've created, hats and mugs that can be made for sale, signed editions, etc. So what we're going to do here, we're going to create something that a lot of stores use and a lot of other stores may not be aware of. What we're going to do is create an event ticket. A lot of stores like to sell tickets to their events, their author events. So we're going to create a new class. Now this is actually one of the easiest things that you can do in Drupal. We're going to create a custom product class. So we're going to go, we're going to call this event underscore ticket. Keep in mind the class ID does need to be machine readable, so it's only lowercase, underscores, or numerals. Keep in mind also you want to leave these singular. You don't want to put it into tickets. And the class name is going to be the same thing, event ticket. It is the human readable name. And down here we can put some sort of description. I don't think it needs much, but you can actually say create event ticket, and that will let your staff know what this is for. And that's all we're going to fill in here. We're just going to click Save down here at the bottom. Okay, so we come back to our list of product classes, and now you can see we have something called an event ticket. So if I go back to content and add content, one of the things that I now have is the event ticket. And I could theoretically go in and start creating that ticket. But before we start to create a ticket, let's take another look. If I wanted to create a piece of content, of course I go to content, add content, and I choose one of these content types. But if I want to manipulate what that content type does or what it includes, then I do something a little different. I go to Structure, Content Types, and from here I'm going to go to Event Ticket, and I'm going to, and I see a couple of tabs here. Manage Fields means this is where I'm going to go to add new fields to my content type or move fields around or rename them. The Manage Display is where I dictate how my customer is going to view this. So let's first go to Manage Fields. And we'll take a look at the fields that are automatically included. Now when I create an event ticket as a product class that is a saleable item, it automatically includes a few things. First of all, it includes a name, that is the name of the item that I'm going to be selling. There is a description, of course, you're very familiar with that. And I can also upload an image. This image field comes automatically with any product class that I create. I can add new fields, and I can also add existing fields. Now existing fields, if I click on this, there's a list here of fields that are already available if I wanted to use them. For instance, I created a content type that is called article. And in my article, instead of a title at the top, I renamed it headline. I added a field called the byline and another field called the date line. If I come back to my list of existing fields, you can see that there's my byline that I created and my date line, and there are a few other things here that I created for other things. Again, I could add a new field, but we don't really need to add a field in this particular case. So we're going to take a look at the Manage Display, and this is going to be what my customer would see. So this doesn't, of course, this isn't exactly what they see, but it shows us when a customer is going to be viewing this content type, it shows them all the things that will be visible to them. So let's take a look. We're going to go to Content, Add Content. We're going to go ahead and create an event ticket. Okay. Now, as it turns out, I'm having Alexander Dumas come by and do a book signing. It'll really be some trick, and I'm not going to, let's see. I have some information written, which I do highly recommend having this sort of information written ahead of time and just keep it in a notepad file or something like that. What I'm going to do down here, since I have some HTML, I'm going to switch to plain text. I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to come down here. Now, as I'm putting this together, I've just put some information in my description. And there are a few other things that I can do here. First of all, there's an image that I can upload for my particular product. As it turns out, if I browse, I do have something in here called a ticket. And I'm just going to upload that image in there. The next thing it asks for, with a red asterisk, meaning the field is required, is a SKU. Now, real quick, just for fun, trivia question. What does SKU stand for? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not waiting for an answer. The answer is stock keeping unit. You can use that to go out and win your next bar bet. But enough for the fun. Let's get back to work. When it comes to SKUs, of course, a SKU is intended to be a unique identifier for your particular product. It's the same idea behind an ISBN. Every single book, every single edition of every single title has its unique ISBN. So we wanted to talk a little bit about SKUs for custom products.
SKU.
Carol, my apologies. I didn't see that you had actually answered. Did you get the right answer?
Yeah.
And you got the right answer. I've met very few people who actually know that, and I myself didn't know that. Okay. So as we're saying, for SKUs, we want to create something that is unique, a unique identifier for your particular item that you're creating. Now, a couple of guidelines you're going to want to keep in mind as you're thinking about SKUs. First of all, a SKU that you're creating for a custom item cannot have 10 or 13 digits. If it does, our system will automatically assume that it is an ISBN, and it will immediately try to put someone onto a page for that ISBN. And in most cases, it's not going to exist. So you don't want to use a 10 or 13 digit number or SKU because, again, it'll be misinterpreted by our system as an actual ISBN. Of course, this also means it can't have a regular ISBN. That will confuse the system between the item that you've created and the item that already exists in the database. Keep in mind the search is case sensitive. If you add underscores or spaces, they will be stripped out. If the SKU is lowercase, it can be searched by keyword or advanced search, but if the SKU is uppercase, it will only be available in the advanced search. So keep in mind you want to keep your SKUs fairly simple. Now some stores will create a signed copy of a particular book. They don't want their customers to order the unsigned copy, so they create a new item, and they will often give it a SKU that is the ISBN appended with an A for autograph or S for signed or something like that, anything to differentiate it from the actual ISBN. Okay, so that's all we wanted to mention about SKU. So we're going to come back here to the item that we're creating, and I'm going to call this Dumas ticket. I'm going to do it in lowercase, so it's searchable in the regular search. The sell price, which is required, I'm going to make fairly cheap. It's going to be $5. Now the list price is not required, but it is good practice to make it the same as your sell price. In this case, the product for now will be shippable. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You could put in your weight and your other units of measurement, but they're really not necessary here. So I'm going to come down to the bottom, and we're going to click Save. And then we're going to take a look at this item. So here we have my ticket to this signing event. So here's a picture at the top of Mr. Dumas. We have a SKU up at the top here. We have a few other things on the page. First of all, here's the image that I used to indicate that this is a ticket, but it actually says image. I already know that that's an image. I don't really need that. And my customers also don't really need more information than the amount up here. They don't really need this information here. So as we saw before, we're going to go back to where we can arrange or rearrange how the page looks when my customers are looking at it. So again, we're going to go to Structure, Content Types, and we're going to come down here to Event Ticket, and we're going to go directly to Manage Display. So there are a few things here, as we saw on the page, and we don't really need them all here. So I'm going to start getting rid of them. As you can see, these fields are all at the top above the word hidden. That means these are all available. They're all viewable. If I grab the four-pointed arrow for any of these, for instance, the dimensions, which I don't need, and I just pull it down till it is below the word hidden, that field is hidden. I can do the same thing with a few other things. There's the display price at the top, which I do want to be available, so I'm going to leave that there. The description I do want available. The SKU, that's up to you. It doesn't have to be visible. We can hide it. We can pull it off down below the hidden header here. But let's look at a few other things. The list price I don't need. The cost I don't need. The sell price I don't need to show. Certainly the weight I don't need to show. And the rest of this I'm going to leave up here. My customer may find the SKU to be useful for some reason. So we're going to leave that there. I also have the image. As we saw, the image has a little label that says image. Duh, I already know that. I'm going to hide that label. So now let's come down to the bottom and we'll click Save. And then let's go back to our event ticket. Now it looks a little bit better. So I have now my ticket, which is available for sale. It has the image up here that I put in, a little bit of information that I added. I left the SKU in there. The image indicates that it is a ticket, and now I can add it to my cart. And I can walk through the checkout. Okay. Now, this isn't all that we want to do. Let's go back to our page here. As it turns out, when I'm selling tickets in my state, they're not taxable. So I want to make sure that if customers drop this item into their cart, they won't be charged tax. And the way we do that is by going to Store, Configuration, and Taxes. Now, most stores are going to see two different tax rates here. You will see your local tax rate, and you will also see a New York tax rate. This is because all orders that ship into New York are always charged New York State tax. So all stores outside of New York State will see their local tax, and they will see the New York tax available. All you need to do to make sure an item is not taxable, we're going to do this first with the local tax rate. We're going to go to Edit. And on this edit page, we could change the rate of the tax. We're not going to do that here. We want to dictate which product types are taxed. And in this case, it's my event ticket. I'm going to uncheck. And as it turns out, my hats are also clothing items. I'm going to take that off as well. My t-shirts are not taxed. And we're going to come down to the bottom and click Submit. And we're going to do the same thing for the New York tax rate. We'll click Edit. And we will uncheck Event Ticket. And what the heck, we'll uncheck Hat. And we'll click Submit. Okay. Now, some stores have decided, let's go back to our event ticket. Some stores have decided that they don't want these items to be shippable. That is, when the customer comes to the checkout, they are not given an option to ship the item. So first of all, I want to tell my customers this. So I have a little bit of information that I'm going to add to my ticket. I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to switch to text. I'm going to come down here, get a little more information, and we'll click Save. Okay, so I've added some information. This item must be paid for in advance, and it must be picked up at the event. Now, there are a couple of things that we're going to do to ensure that this happens. First of all, we want the item to be paid for in advance. That means that customers will not be able to choose Pay at Store. I want them to, in fact, I want there to be a credit card. They have to input a credit card. So what I'm going to do here I'm going to go to Store, Configuration. We're going to go to Payment Methods. And under Payment Methods, I only have two payment methods that are currently available. They are credit card, of course, and Pay at Store. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Pay at Store and go into the conditions. Now conditions, since we're going to be touching on this, let's delete this for a sec. Conditions basically allow you to dictate what will happen under certain circumstances. So in this case, I've gone to my Pay at Store payment method, and I'm adding a condition that basically says, if this particular item is in the shopping cart, do not offer the Pay at Store option. So to do this, I'm going to say add condition, and that brings me to a list of conditions. There are a lot of conditions here, but what I'm looking for very specifically, I'm looking for the bold header that says order. I can dictate based on an order's shipping country or shipping state or zip code. In this case, we're looking for the products in the order. So I'm looking for order product, and I'm looking for check and orders products by ISBN or SKU. And it's going to pop me to another page, and it's going to ask me basically what is the value, what is that SKU that you want to look for, and that's going to be the Dumas ticket. And I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I'm going to say negate. That means that when this item is in the cart, then this particular payment method, Pay at Store, will not be available. So we'll click Save. Okay, so let's go back to our content. Oops. And we'll go back to our ticket. Okay. So now we've said that it must be paid for in advance. Now when a customer drops this in their shopping cart, they will only be given the option to pay for it with a credit card. But we also want to ensure that it must be picked up at the event. And for that, we're going to go to our shipping methods. So we're going to go to Store, Configuration. Oops. And we're going to go to Shipping Quotes. Now, one of the shipping quotes is in-store pickup. And I don't want customers to be able to pick this up in the store. Or rather, I don't want them to be able to, to have this item shipped. Let's go back to the item itself. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to edit this item. And one of the options when you're putting this item together, come down here, you'll see the product is shippable. I'm going to remove that. The product is not shippable. I'm going to click Save. All right, so now, if I go, let's see, let's go here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this in my shopping cart. So here. Okay, and I'm going to go directly to this page. Let's see if it's okay. So, okay. So I'm going to grab my ticket. I'm going to drop it into the cart. Okay, I'm going to click Checkout. Okay, and as I come through here, you'll notice there is no option now to pick it up at the store. Or there is no option to ship it, rather. And the only payment method available for this is credit card. So now the customer understands when they purchase this item, they'll be putting in their credit card information. They won't be supplying any sort of delivery address, and the item will be picked up at the event. Okay. All right, let's go back. Set it down. Okay, and that is pretty much the lowdown on creating custom products. Now, keep in mind that while you can sell a lot of different things through the site, in fact, it's possible if you go to content, add content, there is an item in here called product. But if you, which would create a saleable item, and you can put whatever information in it that you want. But you don't want to create all of your saleable items as products. As we've seen, you want to break them out into different categories. Because if I created everything as products, if I created a bunch of shirts and a bunch of tickets and a bunch of other things, but some of those are tax exempt and some are not, I'm going to have a pretty tough time. So by creating my event tickets as a separate class, I can call them non-taxable, whereas my coffee mugs are taxable. So again, creating new custom product classes will help you keep all those things separate. And as my colleague Ryan is going to point out eventually, this also allows you to put things into a view fairly easily by keeping them separate like that. Okay. Okay, so now the last thing that we're going to talk about are attributes and options. And what this refers to is if I have, let's say, a t-shirt, which I'm going to use. If I have a t-shirt and I want to, my t-shirt comes in different colors and it comes in different sizes. So let's go back to my content. And in this case, we're going to look for t-shirt. I already created this product class. So I have a store logo t-shirt. I'm going to go, we'll take a look at it real quick. Okay, and there's my t-shirt information. But my t-shirt comes in different sizes and different colors. Here, if I just create the item, it doesn't offer anything. It looks like it only comes in black, and that's it, and it doesn't have any sizes. So what I'm going to do is go to Edit. And when I go to Edit for a custom item, I see these tabs across the top. I have attributes. Now I want to create an attribute for my t-shirt. I want to create one that's for size, and I want to create another one for color. So let's go first. We'll take a look. Under Store and Products, we have something called Attributes, and we're going to take a look at that. This is a fairly short list of attributes that can be applied to different items. And in fact, the ones that are listed here, you might recognize from a gift card or a gift certificate or an online-only gift code. If you look at your average gift card available for sale on an IndieCommerce site, it will have a From field, it will have a To field, and it will have a gift card amount where you can drop down and choose from any one of those different denominations. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an attribute. I'm going to add an attribute here. Click Add an Attribute. And this is going to be, I want to make sure I understand when I come back here. This is going to be t-shirt color. And we'll say the same thing down here, t-shirt color. I'm not going to include any help text. I think people understand that. I am going to make this attribute required. When my customer is purchasing this, they must make a choice. And I'm going to, under the display type, I can do radio buttons. I'm going to leave it as the select box. I'm going to go click Submit. So now I've created an attribute that is called t-shirt color, but it has no options. I haven't added my different colors. So down here, now that it's been created, I can go to Options, and I can create some options for this. So on this page, no options for this attribute have been added. So I'm going to say Add an Option. And here we're going to do red. And my different colored t-shirts don't have a different price on them, but we'll take a look at that shortly. So I'm going to click Submit. And this is all very simple. I'm going to add another option for black. And I'm going to add my last option for blue. Okay, so now I have an attribute called color, and I have different options, blue, black, and red. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to, let's go back to my store t-shirt, and we're going to go to Edit, And we're going to add an attribute to this item. So it shows me my list of attributes. The one that I've just created is t-shirt color. We're going to add that attribute. So now let's go back and we'll look at the store logo t-shirt. And now when customers are looking through, they now see t-shirt color and they can select a color. But of course, that's not all. I want to add another attribute, and that is going to be size. So very quickly, we'll run through this again. Attribute, I want to add an attribute. Oops, go back. Sorry, let's go to store, products and attributes to my master list, and I'm going to add a new attribute here. This is going to be t-shirt size. Okay, and again, I'm going to make this required. I'm going to leave it as a select box, and I'm going to click Submit. And again, I need to add a couple of sizes, so I'm going to add an option. We're going to say large, and we're going to leave the price the same. However, I'm going to add another one, which is going to be extra large. Large. Now, when I buy these from my t-shirt distributor, they actually cost a couple of dollars more. So I'm going to put a price adjustment here of $2. So when someone orders an extra large t-shirt, the system will automatically charge them an additional $2 for that. I'm going to click Submit. And now we're going to go back to our store logo t-shirt. And we're going to edit that. And again, under attributes, I'm going to add, add another attribute to this t-shirt, and that is going to be my t-shirt size. Add that attribute. Okay, now when we finally go back to our t-shirt, we can now see the t-shirt is here with the image. Now, as I showed you before, we can get rid of all this information, but we're not going to do that at the moment. But we do have t-shirt color and t-shirt size. I'm going to choose extra large and add that to my cart. And as oops, let's see. All right, didn't work quite the way. Let's try. Okay, let's go back. I seem to have overlooked something here. So I'm going to go back to, oops. Okay, we're going to go to options. Okay, and here's where we missed it. There is a cost and a price. It's a little early in the morning for me yet, I guess. So I'm going to change that again. I'm going to do Submit. Okay, and now if I go back to my cart, now we can see that my extra large shirt now carries an additional $2 on the 10. All right, and there you have it. So I'm going to wrap up my end of this, and I'm going to hand this over to my colleague Ryan, who is going to take a look at a couple of other features that go well with custom items, and I'm going to let her explain that to you. Ryan, hang on just.
Okay, everyone. So Scott did a great job on his part. Hopefully I can live up to his reputation now for mine. The first thing I want to mention is we are going to be reviewing the variable price module and the stock module. And something that you're definitely going to want to keep in mind is that if you don't see the options that I'm going over with you on your own site, that's just because they're not enabled for your site yet. These two modules, variable price and stock, are only enabled by request. So if you'd like them enabled for your site, you'll visit Store, Configuration, Account Information and Preferences, and Store Features. And you'll scroll through the list of all the features we offer until you find the variable price, which is here, and the stock, which is here. You would select the box under the column Enable this feature. And once selected, you would scroll down and click Send Request to ABA. That's going to send us an email letting us know that you would like to have those modules enabled. We will enable them for you and confirm with you when they are enabled. Okay, so let's get started. The first that we're going to go over is the variable price module. And what that does is, instead of giving a drop-down menu where your customers just choose a price from the drop-down menu, this gives them a text field where they can type in the amount. So I've set up a product already, which is a donation product, and you'll see that field here. So instead of the normal drop-down menu, it's a text field where they can type in the amount they'd want to pay. How do you set this up? Well, there are a few different ways. First, you can set it up for an entire product class. And to do that, you go to Store, Products, Manage Classes, and you would either, if it's an existing class, find that class. If it's a new class, you would create the class first. In this case, I've set one up for us, so I'm going to go to Donations and click Edit. And once that variable price module is enabled, you now have this new field called Default Variable Price Product Feature. By selecting this, you come to the configuration box, and you will want to first enable it by selecting check this box to add a default product feature to every product of this class. So by placing it on the product class as a whole, you're saying that every product within that class is going to have this feature. The next setting is to allow $0 price for this product. You will not use this very often, but it is an option should you need to. So for instance, if you wanted to give something away for free, essentially, you could enable that so that then someone could order it and not pay anything for it. If you have a default price, for instance, your minimum price is going to be $5, then you would make that your default price as well, so that that's what displays there. On my donation product, we don't have any default or minimum, so we're going to leave it blank. And the same goes for maximum. If you want to place a maximum amount that they can either pay for a product or, in this case, donate, you could fill that in. We're not going to. Your last options are that you can change the button sayings. So you have a field title called Amount and a button titled called Add to Cart. But remember, the product I'm working with right now is for a store donation. So I'm going to select to override the title of the Add to Cart button, and I'm going to say Make Donation instead. And for the override the title of the amount field, I'm going to change that to Donation Amount. I'm going to save this. And then when I come back to my product, I can see the changes I've made. Okay, I'm going to need to check into why those changes didn't take, but we'll come back around to that. Another place where you might use the variable price module is on a gift card. So I'm going to bring up a gift card that's already created. And I'm just going through my content and filtering it by the type I'm looking for. And here's my Happy Reading gift card. So when I look at this gift card, I have the normal drop-down menu. It's giving me $5 increments between 5 and 35, and then it jumps to $50, 100, 150, 175, and 200. But I want my customer to be able to order whatever amount they want, as specific as they want. So I'm going to click my edit button. And the first thing I need to do here is remove that amount drop-down option. So I'm going to go to Attributes. I'm going to select gift card amount under the Remove column and Save Changes. And now, when I view this, I don't have any gift card amount option. But I do want to put the variable price feature on it, so I'm going to go back to Edit, select the Features tab, add a new feature, and mine is set to the variable price. Select the Add button, and it's bringing me back to my configuration settings. So again, if there's any minimums you want to place here, you can. Otherwise, you're going to scroll down and click Save Feature. And now when you view it, you have the amount field where your customer can key in any amount as specific as they'd like and order that amount. You might even use the variable price feature on another type of sideline. So we're going to go to Content, and I have some gifts set up. And let's say you have way more of a product than you actually need, and they're just not really moving out of your store. So maybe you want to offer it up as a product in which your customers can choose how much they pay for it. So here's my Love Reading t-shirt, and typically I sell it for $35 a t-shirt, but it's not selling. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. I'm going to again click the Edit button. In this case, I want to remove the cost of this item because I'm going to let them choose how much. So I'm going to set those back to 0. I'm going to save that change. And I'm going to go enable the variable price feature by clicking the Features tab again, selecting the variable price, selecting Add. If I had any settings to change, I would fill those in at this point, and then click Save Feature. And now when I view this product, instead of just the cost of $35.99 being here, they can opt to pay whatever they wish for this item. So it's just a good thing to keep in mind for different scenarios, donations, gift cards, products that maybe aren't selling that you're willing to take a bit of a lower price on. And if I actually go back to my donation product now, I believe you should be able to see the change in those buttons. So I'm going to come back, and here we go. Now it says make a donation. Okay, so that's the variable price module. The next module we're going to talk about is the stock module. So for these custom products that you create, such as t-shirts and mugs and special signed books, you might want to indicate on the site somewhere what stock you have available on it. That way you're able to better keep track of how many you're selling, and you're able to make sure that it becomes an out-of-stock item at the appropriate time. So how that works is you can go to Content, and we're going to pull up a product that I've already created. And once the stock module has been enabled for your site, you'll have this new tab called Stock. By clicking on the tab, you will first select the Active button, and then you're going to put in the amount of stock you have available. So in this case, I'm going to say I have 10 units available, and when I get down to 5 units, I want an email sent to me. I'm going to save that change. And what I need to do now is make sure that I've set up where I'm going to receive this email. So you're going to go to Store, Configuration, Stock Notifications, and you're going to review the information here. First, you'll want to make sure that the send email notification when stock level reaches its threshold value is selected. And then you're going to want to make sure that you have the appropriate email addresses entered into the notification recipients field. You can enter more than one. You'll just want to make sure that you put a comma between each, no spaces. You can also alter the message subject and message text if you'd like. You don't have to. If you do choose to do so, we'd recommend that you leave these little fields that are in the brackets, which are actually referred to as tokens, in place. They pull information directly from the system that we tend to feel is important for you. So, as I said, you'll want to leave those as they are. But this will generate the email to any of the recipients entered here that you've reached that stock threshold you've set on this individual item. That way, you can make sure that you still have enough available in your store to sell it and fill the order online. Because remember, your stock in store and your stock on the website are not always kept in sync. So you want to make sure that you give yourself enough padding in this threshold that you don't oversell an item. Okay. As orders are placed, your stock will adjust. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what an item out of stock looks like. So I'm going to search for an item that I know I've already sold all of my stock on. And so here's my superpower mug. In the search results, it comes out as out of stock. If I go to the product page itself, it says out of stock. And although I'm allowed to add it to a wish list, when someone actually views that wish list, they're also going to see it as out of stock. So it does calculate and keep track of how many are sold. You also have the stock report. So by going to Store, Reports, and Stock Report, that's going to give you an entire list of any item that currently has the stock module activated and configured for it. It's going to show you what stock amount is available for it currently and what you set your threshold at. This is another way that you can come and easily adjust this. So for my superpower mug, I see that it's out of stock on my website, but I actually am going to say I still have 10 in the store. So I'm going to go ahead and update that to say 10. And when I view my superpower mug now, it's back in stock. I can add it to the cart again. Okay. Another feature we're going to go over today are custom checkout messages. So if you have a special item that you're offering, and for today's example, I'm going to use my donation product, you can set it so that a special message is displayed in your shopping cart upon the customer checking out. So the way you do that is Configuration, Workflow, and Rules. You'll select to add a new rule, and I'm going to say this is my donation thank you message. And the React on event I want to set is that the customer completes checkout. I'll save this rule, but I need to attach some conditions to it. So I'm going to find this rule in my list of active rules, click the Edit button, and first I'm going to set a condition. So I'm looking for order by ISBN or SKU, and the value is going to be donation because that's the SKU I used to create my product. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to add an action that says I want to display a message on the site. So show a message on the site. My value is going to be what I want that message to say. So I'm going to say thank you for making a donation. Your support is appreciated. And there are different message types you can have displayed. You can have a status, a warning, or an error. I just want this to display as a status. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go back to my product now. So I'm going to choose to make a donation. We're going to say $50. Make a donation, which adds it to my cart, and I'm going to check out. I'm reviewing my order and checking out. And my message did not appear, so I'm just going to go take a look at why. And first I'm going to check, and that would be why I entered the wrong SKU. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that for us. So we're going back to configuration, workflow, and rules. And I'm going back to the donation thank you message and clicking edit. And I'm going to come to where I set my condition for ISBN and SKU and edit that. And I'm going to change that to donate. I'm going to save this again. And let's try that one more time. See, I make these mistakes so that you don't have to. We'll go ahead and enter in an amount again. Scott's test site's getting a whole lot of donations today. We'll check this out. And I'm just going through the checkout process just like your customer would. So credit card is selected. I have a credit card saved. Confirming my billing address and clicking review order. I am then going to submit my order. And now I see my special message appearing in this green bar that's thanking them for making a donation. So those are the three main items that can really help when you're adding custom products to your site. But there's also one more really great benefit to really planning out your product classes and making sure you're utilizing them well. And it can help you display your content. So a wonderful tool for Drupal 7 is views. And you can go to Structure, Views, and you'll see a whole list of views here. Some of them you may have already created if you've toyed with this tool already. Most of them will be ones that we've provided you by default. So you can opt to create a new view by selecting Add New View. You'll start by naming your view. In this case, I'm just going to call this Special Gifts. And I want to set it to show content of my product class. So I have a gifts product class, and that's what I'm choosing. I'm going to leave it to sort by newest first because I'm going to assume that my newest items are going to be my most popular items. And if you want to create a page, you'll make sure this create a page box is selected. If you want to create a block, you'll make sure create a block is selected. I am going to create both today, so we're going to start with create a page. And you'll see some information fills in by default just based on what you named your view. So my page title is Special Gifts. My path has been appended to Special Gifts. And I need to just choose what kind of display format I want. So for my page, I'm going to say a table of fields. I'm going to say I want to display all of them, so I'm going to leave that blank. And I don't need a pager because I'm displaying all of them. For my block, I don't want a table. I'm going to say I want a grid, and I'm going to choose fields again. And this time I'm going to say I only want to show 4 items. And I'm going to go ahead and click continue and edit. Now because I selected to create both a page and a block, I have 2 different displays already set up. One says page here and then block. I'm going to start with the selected one, which is the button in gray, which is page. I'm going to scroll down. And so by default, you can see that all that's appearing right now is my titles for my products. So I want to display the image as well. So I'm going to go ahead and under Fields, click the Add button. And I'm going to look for image. I'll select that. And I only want to apply it to my page at the moment. So I'm saying this page and apply this display. I don't need the word image to appear next to my actual picture, so I'm going to uncheck Create a Label. I want to choose what type of image style is displaying. So for my page, I'm going to say to display them 220 by 220, and I do want to link them to their content pages. I'm going to apply this display again, and I'm going to scroll down to see what that's going to look like. So that would look like this. I'm going to say that's okay, and I'm going to save. And now if I follow this path, it has created a page on my website that displays those. And it's just a whole table that displays each one of them. But that's not enough for me. So I'm happy with the page, but I want a block that I can feature on my home page as well. So I'm going to come back to my view and select the block display now, and I'm going to make some adjustments here. So again, right now it's only showing the title, and you see the word title and then my actual title. I don't need that word there though. I don't need it to actually say title. So I'm going to click on the content title field, and that's going to bring my settings up, and I'm going to uncheck Create a Label. I'm going to again change the 4 to this block because I only want to make the change on this particular display, and click Apply this display. So now I don't have the word title there, but I also want to add in my images. So again, I'm going to go to Fields. I'm going to select Add, search for image again, select that. I'm applying it only to this block. And again, I'm going to get rid of the word image. This time I'm going to say I only want thumbnails, and I'm going to link my image to the content again. I'll apply this display, and I get a nice little preview. So this is okay. It's a grid and showing all 4 of them across, but I want to change my grid a little bit. So I'm going to go to Format, Grid, Settings, and I'm going to say instead of 4 columns, I only want 2. Now I'm going to apply this display, and now I only have 2 columns. So I'll save this block, and by heading to Structure, Blocks, that's now added a block to my disabled region of blocks. So I'm going to look for that block now. Here it is, View, Special GIFs. I'm going to configure it. I'm going to place it in my second sidebar. I'll call it Special GIFs. And I'm going to say show block on specific pages, only the listed pages, and I only want to show it on my front page. I'll save that block. And now when I view my home page, in my second sidebar, I have a block called Special GIFs. And it's showing the 4 I enabled it to show, and by clicking on it, it brings me to the actual product page. So those are all really great benefits to utilizing product classes and planning out what you're going to make your product classes so that you can then really restrict them the way you'd like them. T-shirts can have tax, and event tickets can be non-taxed. You can have a block that shows all event tickets and a page that shows all t-shirts. You can do lots of different things with it. So that's going to conclude our webinar for today. Sorry about that. And we're going to open up for questions. So if you have any questions, you can either type them into the question box, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you to take your question. Okay, so it looks like we have one from Justin, and it says, can you add stock number to a size attribute for a specific product? Yes.
Can I switch to my screen?
And I'm going to make Geetha the presenter, and she is going to walk you through how that works.
Yeah, it's Geeta here. There is a way to do it, but I have to say that we haven't tested it before, and that's actually a good question. No one has that question before. When we covered the custom products and adding attributes and options, there is also a way where you can assign a different SKU for each attribute option combination. I just made some changes to the custom product that Scott had created earlier for the t-shirts. If we look at the attributes and options, so these are the two attributes and options that Scott created. One is for the color, the other is for the size. And then there are different options for each. On the same page, you'll see another tab called Adjustments. This actually lets you assign a different SKU for each attribute option combination. So I went ahead and added 2 SKUs. By default, it takes the SKU that is assigned to the product, the SKU that shows up here. The t-shirt would have been the default SKU, but you can override that for each attribute option combination by using a unique SKU. So here for a black large, it would use, I'm using the SKU black hyphen large. And for black X large, I'm using black X large. The way the stock module works is it lets you assign a stock quantity per SKU. So because I have assigned different SKUs for the black large and black X large, it lets me add the stock quantity for those two individually, and also the threshold. But the only catch here is, by adding a stock and the threshold, you can enable the email coming to you if the stock goes below the threshold quantity, but this is not going to remove the add to cart button from the product. Customers will still be able to place orders for black large or black X large because the add to cart button is associated with the main product, which is the t-shirt, but you can still use these two fields to set the stock and the threshold. And we haven't tested this, so we will test this and we will confirm that everything works fine, but this is definitely a way that we can try implementing that. And Justin, we did get your request for those 2 modules, and those are 2 enabled on your site. Carol, if you have lots of items to add in a specific class, like candles, what is the most efficient way to get lots done in the shortest time? As of now, right now, the only option we have is to add custom products manually, which means you have to add one product at a time. It is on our to-do list for the first half of 2016 to make that automated, where you would be able to upload custom products from a spreadsheet. We did have it on Drupal 6, but because that feature was not perfect, we did not upgrade it to 7. So we plan to start that work from scratch, design it properly, and have it implemented better on Drupal 7. And we hope to have that done somewhere by in the next few months, we will have an update on that. Next one, and for shipping purposes, is it really best to have a little scale handy to enter weight and dimensions for type of product, t-shirts, candles, etc.? Actually, the shipping does not go by the weight that you set for the product. The way the shipping is set on IndieCommerce sites, you're choosing a flat rate shipping. So even if you set a weight for the product when creating it, your shipping is not going to change. It's only going to take the flat rate that you set for each shipping method. Like looking at this site, let's look at some of the shipping options here. Let's say it is UPS ground shipping. Sorry about that. UPS ground shipping, if you look at the shipping option settings, the base price is $4 and per product is 95 cents. So this is actually not checking the weight of the product. So it doesn't matter even if you add the correct weight or not, the shipping is still going to be for one product, it'll be $4 plus 95 cents. But we do have other options if you want to give it a try. We have the USPS or the UPS module, which we can enable for you to test. That requires that you have an account with UPS or USPS. The way that module works is it will, each time someone places an order, it'll communicate with the UPS or the USPS and get a quote returned from there. The only thing you have to note is if all the products on your site do not have the weight and the dimensions mentioned, then what is returned from that module can be inaccurate. And that's why we have not made it available for all the sites. But if you want to give it a try, you can test it. Definitely you can test it and let us know if it works or not. As of now, I don't believe there is any IndieCommerce site that actually uses the module, for the only reason that there is no way for them to guarantee that every item sold on their website has the weight and the dimensions defined. I'm just looking at Scott and Ryan to make sure that.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was
okay.
Do we have any others?
Okay, any other? Okay, this is. Okay. And also there is one more thing I just want to point out related to the shipping cost. Some of you may already know. If there is a particular product that you want to set a different shipping per product shipping rate just for that product, like let's say there's a UPS ground, it says the flat rate is $4 and the default per product is 95 cents. Let's say you have a product for which you want to charge 95 cents per product is not good, is not enough. You want to say that particular product has to be $2 per item. So that can be done if that will be helpful. Let's take the t-shirt, and let's say we want to charge $2 for every additional t-shirt that is added to the order. So for that, you will edit the product, and on the left, go through the shipping settings section. And what you see here, if you don't enter anything, it's going to take the default from your shipping methods. But if you want to change it, let's say you want to charge $2 per t-shirt, in any order, then you change the default to $2 and then you save it. So what happens is anytime you add a t-shirt item to your shopping cart, it will be $4 plus $2 for every t-shirt. It'll override the 95 cents that is defined in your flat rate shipping. And this can sometimes be useful when you have like a very big product, a bulky one that's going to cost you more to ship. So you can choose something that's other than the flat rate shipping. And I think, do we have any more questions? Okay, I think we have answered all the questions that were typed in, and this webinar has been recorded, so you will see the recording on the IndieCommerce Help Center in the webinar section. It'll take us a couple of days to edit the video and then post it there. And the documents, most of the documents are available on the IndieCommerce Help Center. And next week, same time, Tuesday and Thursday, same time as this week, but next week will be an open session, open Q&A session. You can go over the topics that we discussed today, watch the webinar videos again, and if you have any questions, you can definitely come back and talk to us next week. It doesn't have to be just on these topics. You can talk to us on any topic. We will be available both on Tuesday and Thursday, same timings as this week. And thank you. I think we will end the webinar with this, and thank you all for attending.